So you got your gold bars. We wanted to get to the point where, what was your job? That was the original question. And you got to the Pentagon.
Well, first thing they did was give me a bunch more files to go through, different flying saucer landings and stuff like this. And I said, why am I getting all these things? Because, you know, I was curious. I'm here at the Pentagon against my will.
Well, you signed up.
Well, I signed up, but I signed up to go to Hawaii, you know. And basically, the government sends you wherever they want you, or the Air Force does, whatever. But, so, anyway, I'm sitting there and going through these different files. And I didn't see any sense in it myself, but that was the way they wanted me to do, so I did. And they said, I said, well, where am I going to be? You know, am I going to be here the rest of my service? They said, no, you're going to Nevada. You're going to an underground facility.
Is this day one on the job?
This is like the first week that I'm at the Pentagon. And then the most unheard of thing that could be imaginable is that they walk up to me and they said, okay, come in to the room over, this other room over here. And I walk into this other room, and there's a officer standing there, a lot higher than me. And he says, and he looks at these plainclothes people that are in there, and he goes, "This is highly irregular. You know, this just isn't done. You know." And he says, "Well, you know that," and they start talking about rank and stuff like this. And it's just, how can we give this lieutenant full bird colonel? I mean, it's not done. Well, it's going to be done.
Were you present for this conversation?
Yeah, I'm present for this conversation. I'm standing there going, what are they talking about?
You're there for a week. They've given you some papers to read about. What you said was flying saucers.
Flying saucers, reports of flying saucers and things like this.
So are these
landings and stories and Benny Hill and all these others. And I'm going, okay, so why am I doing this, And they said, well, your next duty station requires you to be a certain rank. And that rank is full bird. And I'm going, wait a minute, I'm a lieutenant.
At 16 years old.
At 16 years old, I'm a lieutenant. I'm a second lieutenant. I haven't even made first lieutenant yet, and you want to give me bird? Full bird? I mean, what happened to lieutenant colonel or, captain? And they said, don't worry about that. It's all taken care of. So they pin on the full bird. And I'm going, oh my God.
But it's the capacity of the job. It's not like they were giving you a command.
No, they weren't giving me a command or nothing like that. They just said, you're just required to be this rank and to be in this facility. And I said, all right. And then they said, okay, now what do I want? And then they started arguing about clearance. They started bickering back and forth about, what clearance am I going to have? And I'm going, what is all this? And they said, you're going to a top secret facility beneath the Telos Air Force Base in Nevada. And I'm going, okay, that's all well and good, the top secret, I can understand that. But why are you guys bickering about what clearance I'm going to have? And they said, because that's another requirement. And I said, well, so that's what all that security background checking was for. They said, yes. I said, okay, whatever. So I just sort of sat there and let them do what they, did.
What were the ranks these guys having this conversation?
One of them was a general.
I would expect it, at least.
The general was the one who kept saying, it's not done. It's just not done. He hasn't got the qualifications for being a colonel. He hasn't got the backing. He hasn't got the experience. He's a colonel. So, and of course, these guys in plain clothes are the ones, you know, saying this is what's going to happen. You know, this is what's going to happen. Regardless of what you say, General, this is what's going to happen.
Who do you suppose these people in plain clothes were?
I had no clue.
If you were to guess, your wildest guess.
My wildest guess, secret government. That's what I'm guessing. After it was all said and done, I had my full bird colonel. I had crypto top secret clearance, and some other clearance that they said something about, and I didn't even understand what that was. But they said it. They said, in other words, you're saying this person's got higher clearance than the damn president? And he goes, that's right. Oh.
In a week.
In a week. In a week, I'm in Pentagon, and I'm getting all this stuff bestowed upon me, and I'm going, why? You know.
So they were speaking in terms of your next duty station.
Yeah, my next duty station. They kept arguing back and forth.
You'd only been there a week.
I'd only been there a week. And I said, okay, well, how long am I going to be here before I go there? You'll be here for a month. Okay, what am I going to do in that month? You're going to be debriefed about your facility. You're going to. And you can't talk about it to nobody. And I'm going, what else is new? So then in walks my father, my adopted father. And he's going, I looked at him and I said, you're the reason I'm here, aren't you? He said, yeah. And I said, okay. So after that point, I just shut up and didn't say nothing. But then they put me on a plane, sent me to Las Vegas, Nevada, got off the plane, and they said, here is $5,000, go have yourself a blast downtown. I said, why? They said, because you're not going to see the light of day for 11.5 years. I go, what? They said, you're not going to see the light of day for 11.5 years. You're going to be in a facility that's approximately, the first level is like, what, 3-4 miles underground? I'm going, oh, now I see why you gave us the time off. But you can't talk about what you're doing. I said, I understand. Did
they tell you what you were going to be doing?
At the Pentagon, yes, somewhat.
So you had some idea.
They said, you're relieving a commander at the facility, Area 51 facility. And he's been there a long time. He's had a nervous breakdown, so you're taking his place.
Oh, so you were actually given the command then. You're relieving a commander.
I'm relieving a commander.
So you did have a command.
Yes, I did. But I didn't know it at the time. Yeah. And so they let us go have our little fling down in Las Vegas.
Was any explanation ever given to you why you were so rapidly promoted, if you will, and put into such a high position of responsibility?
Yeah. The explanation was a gentleman one of the plainclothesmen walked up to me and he says, I'm Mr. Stevens, and my rank is not important. You are going to be the liaison in Area 51. I said, the liaison? For what? He says, you'll find that out when you get there. And I said, well, why is that why I was advanced so quickly? And he says, yes, and your father had something to do with it as well. And I said, oh, okay. He says, well, you need to stop asking questions. I said, yeah, I kind of got that. So basically I shut up and obeyed orders. We got to the Area 51, well, we got to the aircraft. We boarded this aircraft. It was solid white, blacked out windows with a big red 51 on the tail, and we get in this aircraft, take off. 45 minutes later, we land. I step out from the aircraft, pitch black, nothing. No stars, nothing. You know, I said, wait a minute, where are the stars? You know, but better yet, where are we? You know, because we took off at 10 o'clock in the morning. 45 minutes we land, and yet it's pitch black. Where are we? You're inside a mountain. And I said, oh, that's why no stars. Very good. Go get in that staff car. Me along with several other people. We go and get in the staff car, and the staff car starts going straight down this corridor, and all at once it drops down at a 45-degree angle. Down. And this car accelerates to a certain point, and then it levels off and stops again. We walk out, and they said, okay, you see that building over there? And I said, yep. She said, go in there and strip. Everything comes off. Okay, so I go in this room, this building. I walk in the room. These people are all dressed in white. They tell me to go into this cylinder thing, and I step into it, and this blue mist comes down. Decontamination.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, decontamination.
Same stuff?
No, this stuff hurt. And and then they gave us this jumpsuit to put on. We put the jumpsuit on. Back in the staff car, down another corridor, down another 45 degrees for a couple miles. Come to another building. They say go inside. A pink mist comes down. Went through 3 different segments of decontamination. After the 3rd trip down, we go into another, we step into an elevator. You mean like a level? Is it so you say with 3 levels or 3, the pink mist comes down, you said there were 3. There was 3 different levels. So you had the first level, blue mist, okay. Second level, pink mist, and the final level didn't seem like a mist at all, but yet it was coming down. Are you naked this whole time? Oh yeah. Well, every time we step into a building, not in the car, no. You were allowed to get dressed. And, yeah, okay. Jumpsuit. Right. Follow the story. Yeah, put this jumpsuit on. By the time we get down to the 3rd level, and we step into this cylinder again, this clear mist, or clear, it was like we could feel it, but you couldn't see it. And they said, okay, you're totally decontaminated. I said, oh, nice. You know, they put on this other suit. And there's another jumpsuit, and it's got a triangle on the sleeve, and it says Black Projects on the side of it. And okay, fine. Now where are we going from here? It says you're not going anywhere. You're at the level you need to be. These other people are continuing on. So okay, fine. So they escort me down this hallway into this office. I walk into the office, and this guy is sitting in this chair, and his eyeballs are, you know, like he looks like he's had it. You know what I mean? I mean, he's just sort of sitting there, sort of all spaced out. He's got a spaced out look on his face. This is the commander you're relieving, and I'm going, okay. I said, are you okay? And he says, I'm glad I'm leaving. And I said, well, what are you so upset about? You'll find out soon enough. Believe me, you don't want no part of this place. I didn't want no part of this place. I still don't want no part of this place. This place scares the hell out of me. I'm going, okay. nice way to be greeted, right? You know, okay, fine. So, so he salutes me, I salute him, he leaves under escort, and he leaves, I sit down. And here's this stacks of records, about this high on my desk, I'm going, oh my God, that's a lot of reading. I'm gonna be here for a while. So I start reading. First thing I pull off, it says 1947, Admiral Byrd, diary. So I sat down and started reading. The more I read, the more interested I got. And then continued reading it, read it in its entirety, and then I looked at my assistant and I'm going, is this for real? He says, oh yeah, it's for real. Wow, interesting. Right after I finished reading that, this guy walks into my office and he goes, you're requested on level 27. I said, 27? What level are we on now? You're on level 10. I said, huh. And what's on 27? You'll find out. Anyway, you're being called by name, requested by name, to go down to level 27. I said, okay. Is this my superior? And they said, no. No. Okay. So I put on my jacket, follow this guy to the elevator. We go down, 27th to the 27th level, step off the 27th level, and we're in a cavern. Walk out on the cavern, walk through this cavern, into another tunnel that looked like it had been freshly drilled or bored out. Walk down this tunnel for about a mile, and then I said, okay, that's who called you by name, requested you by name. I'm looking at these two huge giant people standing next to this cylindrical vehicle. Okay, and I walk over there and I said, all right, why am I here? You're going on a journey. And I said, I am. They said, you are. I turned around and looked at my superior and they said, document everything you see and hear. We want a full report. I'm going, okay. All right, so I walk toward this craft. The door slides up real silently.
Like a cigar-shaped craft that we talked about?
Yeah, pretty much like cigar-shaped, almost like shaped like a bullet, similar. And the door slides up very silently. I step into it. They step into it.
Before we progress, I want to ask you some questions about your journey going down to level 27. You talked about taking the elevator down, opening it up into a cavern.
Yes.
It's obviously natural light, artificial light.
Artificial light.
Is it cold?
No, it really wasn't that cold. It was like about 70 degrees.
What color was the light?
The light?
Yeah.
It was artificial light. It was more of it was kind of almost like a fluorescent type light.
Was it dim? Was it bright?
Well, they were like implanted into the rock,
okay.
You know, and they were regular lights, but they were more of like a fluorescent glow to them.
How about the surface floor, the ground that you were walking on? Was it natural or?
It was natural.
Was it bumpy? Was it gravel? Was it?
Well, it was rocky.
Was it rocky?
Yeah. And then when we got into the other tunnel, it was smooth.
Okay, so this is where you had to walk a mile?
About a mile through this tunnel, through this cavern.
That was an artificial tunnel. That was.
No, the mile was more of the cavern. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of that mile was a tunnel that was smooth, had smooth sides, and we walked into that.
Was the lighting the same there in that part of the tunnel?
It's like the walls were lit, but you couldn't see any visible means of lighting.
Okay. And then the floor? The
floor was smooth. We walked through that into this shuttle station. It looked like a white marble or white crystal translucent. And we walked into this. I walked into this vessel, sat down. They said, "Strap in." So I strapped in, and I said, "Where are we going?" "You're going to Telos." I said, "Okay. What is Telos?" Telos is a city beneath the mountain called Mount Shasta.
Okay, so was this a vessel you were on? When I think of the cigar-shaped craft, I'm thinking flying.
A shuttle.
But this is a shuttle. Now we're talking about maybe a rail system of some
It's
sort?
like a tunneling vehicle.
Okay.
Not a tunneling vehicle, but a vehicle that goes in a tunnel.
Got it.
And the sides of I mean, before I got in, I was feeling the sides of this tunnel. It felt cold to the touch, but yet it was more of like a crystal tube, if you will. And this vessel was in it, and you couldn't slide your hand between the side of the wall and the vessel. That's how close it was to this side of the wall. I said, "This is mighty close." And it had to be quite, precision very well if this thing's going to go down these tunnels at extremely rapid speed. And they said, "Not to worry." And so I sat down, and this door closed silently. The vessel started to move, and I felt this humming sound. Heard the humming sound, and then the humming stopped, and the vessel started moving. It went. First, it was going slow, and then it picked up speed. Then it was going by. I mean, the scenery was going by so fast it looked like a blur. You couldn't hardly distinguish anything on the sides at all. It was that fast. I said, "How fast are we going?" And they said, "By your recollection, 4,000 miles per hour." I said, 4,000 miles per hour? And they said, "Yes. We have arrived at our destination." I can imagine. I can imagine.
Okay, so I want to go step back again, and we'll get to the destination in just a moment.
Yeah.
You said you were greeted by these giants.
Well, they were huge beings.
Okay, so how tall?
They were dressed in robe. They were wearing sandals. They had the color of the robes were like a turquoise, and with a red sash type around the center. One was female, one was male. And I said, "How come you're so tall?" And they said, "Because we're Lemurian." I said, "Oh, never mind." And so we went on our trip. By the time they got through explaining to me how fast we were going, we were there.
Sure.
I said, "How long did that trip take?" And they said, "Only a matter of moments." I said, "Okay, now you're telling me Mount Shasta in California, right?" And they go, "Yes." And we just left Area 51. That's several hundred miles.
2,000 miles, actually.
No, not really.
Well, from
No.
Nevada to
It's
California? Yeah.
it's about 800 miles from Pahrump, Nevada to Mount Shasta.
Yeah, you're right. I was thinking something different.
Yeah. So it only took a matter of moments. They were there. I stepped out of this vehicle, and I stepped into the city. It was domed underneath this dome-shaped city. Some of the buildings were pyramidal shaped. Some of them were round. And it was quite an interesting sight to see. People going to and fro. Most of them were very tall, and they had blue skin. So not like a not like a blue skin, but more of a teal, turquoise blue, light turquoise blue color. And I said, okay, so we're in Telos. Yes, you're in Telos. And I met Adama. He walked up to me, gave me a hug.
Who's Adama?
Adama is the leading spokesperson for Telos. He is an ascended master. He is Telosian, or he's Lemurian too, but he's also from the city of Telos. His daughter, Bonnie, Sharula Dux, I know you've heard of her.
Sharula Dux, yes.
Sharula Dux out of Santa Fe, New Mexico, where she lives now, with her husband Shield Dux. She's the daughter of Adama. Have you had a chance to meet with her yet?
I haven't met with her. Don't know how to reach her.
Well, the best way to reach her, from what I understand, is to contact the people in Mount Shasta. Can probably get a hold of her. I'm trying to think who it was that the contact person for that.
We can talk about that later. I want to continue with your story.
Yeah, sure.
So you've been sent there. You've been called, actually summoned.
Summoned by name.
By name. We found out who has summoned you yet.
Well, I was about to find out. Well, Adama is the one that summoned me. So I said, "How is it you know my name?" And he says, "I know both of your names." I said, "Both of my names?" He says, "Yes. Your Earth name, surface Earth name, is Billie. Your true name is Zora." I said, "Yes, but how did you know that?" "Because I know your father." I said, "Oh, okay, you know my father." My real father. And he go, "You know my real father?" And he goes, "Yes." I said, "Oh, okay. Why am I here?" They said, "You're going to get a tour of the city." I said, "Okay." So I went to their hydroponic gardens and their how they grew their food and stuff like this, and went through the city itself.
So the city, just to be clear, where is it located?
It's located 1 mile beneath the surface of Mount Shasta.
It's underneath this dormant volcano.
Yeah.
Is it hot under there?
No. Very pleasant, actually. See, the city is built in a domed covering. The covering is like a clear crystal. Okay. And I said, "Well, if this thing ever erupted, would it hurt the city?" And then he said, "No. The volcano can erupt, but it won't affect the city in any way."
Okay, thank you for that. So you're given a tour of the city.
Given a tour of the city.
Adama knows your father.
He knows my father. And as I was getting off the shuttle, Bonnie was getting on the shuttle.
Who's Bonnie?
Bonnie is the daughter of Adama, Sharula Dux.
Okay, that's...
Sharula.
Okay, so...
Princess Sharula.
Well, you mentioned having two names. So there's Princess Sharula Dux. Is Bonnie her surface name?
That's her surface name.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Bonnie Sharula Dux is her actual... She's actually Telos princess, if you want to get more technical about it. Why she decided to stay on the surface, I don't know, but she did. She's also gained some weight too. She used to be thin, now she's put on several pounds of extra weight, from what I understand. But so I took the journey. He says, Adama assigned a person with me and told me to, mentioned to them, take them to the surface. So we went up to the top of Mount Shasta. As we came up in sort of like a cylindrical tube. We stepped on it. Mm-hmm. The platform went right through this tube, right straight up to the top of the peak of the mountain. Came out, it was snow everywhere. We were in between the two top peaks, and we were standing on this platform, looking out over down the mountain into the town of Mount Shasta, which was very small at that time. We could see a long ways. And I said, wow, this is really something. He says, yes, it is. He says, I said, well, what was the purpose of me being shown this? For information. Your superiors are going to want an explanation as to where you went. So we're going to give them what they want to a degree. You're not to tell them anything about the workings of the city. I said, well, that's none of their business. He said, you can tell them that you went to a city, underground city, but you can't tell them where it is. I said, okay. So after another couple hours of walking through the city and experiencing some of the stuff in there, and ate some of the food there, that was pretty good. The fruits were huge in size. They handed me a strawberry, it was like that big around, huge, pretty good size, about the size of a nice honeydew melon. But it was real sweet tasting, sweeter than anything you taste on the surface. I asked him, well, I said, are you all vegetarian? And they said, well, fruitarianism and also breatharianism. I said, well, what's the difference? He said, well, in fruitarianism you're eating fruit, in breatharianism you're eating nothing. That's your ultimate diet, is breatharianism. I said, oh, you mean not eating at all? He said, yeah. I said, oh, okay. Can you do that? I said, we can. So I said, okay, I said, I said, now, you know my father. Obviously my father is from here? No, your father's from the Hollow Earth. Can I go there? In time you will.
Okay, I want to stop you a second. So this is a good opportunity to get this question answered, and I've asked a lot of people this question.
Yes.
What's the difference between inner Earth and hollow Earth?
Okay. Inner Earth has to do with the subterranean cities in the Earth's crust. That's inner Earth. Hollow Earth is inside the shell, on the inside portion of the shell, where the central sun is hovering in the center. That's hollow Earth. Inner Earth is your subterranean cities, such as Agartha, and the lesser city of Shambhala. There's a greater city located in the hollow Earth itself, it's a greater city of Shambhala. And then in the Earth's crust you have the lesser city of Shambhala, which is a crystalline city. So that's the difference between them. A lot of people are saying, well, inner Earth is hollow Earth. Some people believe that that's the way it is. But in actuality, it's not. Hollow Earth is where the central sun shines on the inside of the Earth's shell. Inner Earth is your caverns, your different civilizations within the Earth, crust of the Earth.
I had expected as much, so thank you for clarifying that. And going hand in hand with that question, because there's so much, if you want to call it mythology or stories or what have you about what does it take to get to these underground cities, being invited in, especially in the case of Telos.
Yes.
Even you've mentioned your mind has to be right and then to be invited in.
Yes.
The question then becomes, well, what's the difference between 3D, 4D, and 5D?
3D is your three-dimensional world as you've been accustomed to. Fourth dimensional is a rise in vibration and understanding and realizing who you are. Fifth dimension is even a higher degree, however, it's also a change in physical form. That's where your body becomes translucent and your body becomes impervious to harm, literally. Your body takes on a very immortal form. And the fifth dimension is the key or the doorway to all higher dimensions.
Do we have fifth dimensional life on inner Earth, in hollow Earth now?
Yes, you do.
Is there, some have said that we're heading towards a shift, a change.
Another shift, yes.
Is this a dimensional shift?
It's a dimensional shift as well as a physical shift. Because once the human body shifts to fifth, their physical form will change. It will change for the better. And it will also change, your density. You have a lot of density on your body right now. That's why you're seeing yourself as solid, when in actuality you're pure energy. But in essence, the energy of the fifth dimensional body is more of like a translucent body. You can see through it, but it's also solid. But it doesn't have the density that your Earth body has now. Each day you wake up, since the beginning of January 2006, ever since that time period, when the shift, the third to fourth dimension shift took place, from that point on, your density is starting to shed off your bodies. Every day you wake up, you feel lighter and more energized and more enlightened. A lot of, since January 2006, a lot of babies that are being born, they're being born very intelligent. I mean, extremely higher than their predecessors. Why? Because they are getting ready for the shift to fifth dimension.
Is that coming soon?
Yeah.
When's it coming?
Well, I'm not going to give a date. I'm not going to give a time because that wouldn't be wrong. I'll just say this very soon.
Very soon?
Very soon.
Okay. Moving on.
I'm saying, well, what Zora has been bringing out and what we've been talking about in conference calls is a gathering. Gathering's supposed to take place before the end of this year, sometime. Doesn't say when, exact date.
Gathering of what?
Gathering of, see, your DNA has a code in it, and when that code is activated, then at that point in time, point in existence, you're going to go one of three places. You're going to either go into hollow earth, inner earth, or off-world. The purpose for this is because Earth has to re-terraform. And it will be expanding as well. And that expansion is going to entail some major seismic activity. So the way that the Hollow Earth and Ashtar Command and the others are preparing, way it's set up, is the people must be taken from the face of the planet out of harm. Because this world is going to rebirth itself. It's going to reclaim the surface. All the cities and man-made, the world as you know it to be is going to cease to exist, and a new one's coming up from it. So there can't be anyone on the surface during that time.
So they're going to inner Earth, hollow Earth, or
off-world.
Off-world.
Turn to the prospective star systems, to where you feel you're from.
This year?
By the end of this year.
So you're having a nice view of downtown Mount Shasta for what it was, 1964-ish.
Yeah.
Okay, what happens next?
So then you have, no, not 1964, that'd be in the 70s.
Oh, was it? So
early 70s.
You were like 16 years old, you got your commission.
Yeah.
You know, a month later you became a colonel.
Yeah.
And how much time? They gave you $5,000 to go play in Vegas.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
How much time has elapsed? We're talking from age 16 maybe?
Something like that, yeah. So that would put it into late 60s.
Okay.
Early 70s, somewhere like that.
Okay.
Is that about right?
You said you were put on the surface in 51.
51, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Add 12.
At 12.
63.
Yeah. 53, 12.
62.
Okay.
Right?
12, yeah. You're about right. Yeah, yeah.
67, I guess. You're in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
57, 58. Okay. So, anyway, let's continue on there.
So there's things you can say, there's things you can't say. They're only showing you things. You get the big old
Right.
strawberry, the breatharian, the
Right.
fruitarian.
Right.
You're learning about Telos, the underground.
Learn about Telos.
Wanted to clarify the difference.
Yeah.
Light, where's the light come from? You're under a mountain.
The light, yeah, well, the light is artificial as well. But it's not actually artificial light. It actually emanates from the bodies of people.
What if there aren't any people around?
Huh?
What if there aren't any people around?
Aren't any people around?
Yeah, if you're in a place, there's no, hey, I need a light. Are you the light? You know,
Well, see, their bodies are translucent.
Okay.
Their bodies they give off a light.
So
Their actual cells give off the light.
Are they 5D then? All of these people 5D?
Yes, they are.
Is light body an accurate terminology for their bodies being 5D?
I would say translucent.
Translucent?
Light bodies would be considered beings from the sun.
Okay.
Would be termed as shining ones.
I'm being facetious and asking the questions about where the light's coming from.
Okay.
Okay. But are there any other sources of light? It can't all just be coming from the bodies of the people.
True. They do have areas like going through tunnels and stuff like this that are lit up the same way that, coming out of the walls themselves. There's no physical or visual means to see where this light's coming from, except it's coming from the walls.
It's just there.
It's just there.
Okay.
You can't see a light bulb. You can't see a source of light, but the whole entire tunnel lights up, which is I don't know. Maybe we didn't even try to explain it.
The only thing I've read Sharula Dux's interview, which was like, I don't know, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, whenever it was she gave that.
Yeah.
And she had described in there a bit about bioluminescence or kind of luminescent rock. And,
that too.
Things like this.
Yeah. And there is a light source that is emanating from the rocks. I'm thinking maybe there's maybe some tubes behind the rocks or something that emanate.
We spent a lot of time on light. I was just very curious because being an electrician, I asked these questions. Where are the fixtures? Where's the wires?
There is no fixture.
Where's the conduit?
There's no wires.
It's coming from the people.
Coming from the people.
I get that.
It's just like the people in the Hollow Earth are the same way. The light is emanating from their being. and it gives them all the light they need.
Okay, so you had the giant strawberry.
Yeah.
It's sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was able to rest, and it was wonderful to rest and sleep in the gardens because, you know, they're so peaceful. There again, we saw different types of animals, very large. Some.
Any T-Rexes roaming about?
No, not in Telos, no. We did see some extremely large, what we term as a mole. You know what a mole is?
Sure. Yeah.
A very large mole, about 12 and a half feet long.
Wow, that's a big mole.
That's a big mole. And
Do they have lawns in Telos?
lawns? Yeah, of course.
You know, grass and.
Of course they do.
Don't the moles kind of mess up the lawn?
No. This particular type of mole was making tunnels, yes, but in the earth itself. And I mean, when it burrowed a hole, when you walk into that where it had burrowed, you'd walk into a tunnel. This is how big this tunnel was. You know, you walk into this tunnel and here's this creature digging into the. Anyway, but
sounds messy. It could be, you know, lots of dirt. How many of these moles they have down there?
Oh, I only saw one myself.
Well, it's probably a good thing. Maybe one is all they need. Okay.
I think I better shut up and let my father come in now.
Where from first? What's your origin? Okay, so we can speed it up a bit.
Yeah.
So you're there. You had to go back. You know.
Yeah, I had to go back. When I went back, got back in the shuttle. Pardon me. Got back in the shuttle. A few moments later, we're back at the area 27. 27th level shuttle station. I step off, and of course I'm debriefed right away.
Sure.
I said, "What did you see?" I said, "Well, I can only tell you that I went to a city, underground city. I don't know where it was. Of course, I lied to them. I wasn't going to tell them where it was because I was asked not to. I just said it was underneath a mountain. You know, that's all I could tell them. I didn't say where. They said, "Well, what did you see?" And I said, "Well, I told them somewhat about the city, but not all that much." "How was it powered? Was it powered with nuclear power?" No, they didn't use nuclear power at all. They had a lighting system that was surpasses anything we have. And they said, "Well, what about air?" I said, "Well, they had shafts that went to the surface. And they also had artificial air, oxygen." I told them what I felt they would pass, so to speak. Like I said, I was requested not to say certain things, which I didn't. I kept I respected their privacy. And then, of course, the next day they said, "Okay, you're being requested by name again. What is your connection with these people?" And I'm going, that's what they're asking me, you know. I said, "Well, maybe I just find favor in their eyes or something. Maybe I don't know." And one of the officers says, "You're too damn honest. That's what your problem is." I said, "Well, maybe that's why they trust me." You know. So, well, whatever. So, went down to this shuttle station, area, level 27 again. Got on it. This time it was going in a different direction. Instead of going to the right, we were going to the left. Same two people were in it. They said, "Welcome, are you ready for your journey to Hollow Earth?" And I said, "Yes." I said, "Okay." would you like to sit up here and watch instead of sitting in the back? I said, yeah, sure. So they put me in the seat between them, and off we went. And how this thing went through these tunnels so quick. I mean, it went straight, and all of a sudden it went like this. I mean, it's like L-turn, you know. I'm going, whoa, wait a minute, that was a little too fast, you know. And then I felt felt like we were going down. The motion was very negligible, very slight, but yet I felt we were going down, and we were.
Ears pop when you're going down? Feel any pressure?
No, no ear popping. Artificial gravity within the craft. And we went down. We got to the 400-mile marker and they stopped. Completely stopped. And I said, why we stopped? Well, we're equalizing pressure. And I said, why? They said, because you're at the center of gravity. I said, what? At the center of gravity? 400 miles into the Earth's crust is the center of gravity. I said, oh, okay. And they started up again. A few moments later, we surface at the shuttle station. I step out, I look up, and here's the sun that don't move. And I said, this looks familiar. And they said it should. And I said, oh, okay. So I'm sitting there and we're looking around. And I said, well, what am I to do now? Whatever you want to do. Just have yourself a blast. So I started visiting some places. I went to Pathologos Library. And a few other places. And they said, okay, you're going to meet with the Council of Hollow Earth. I said, okay. The same council that Admiral Byrd made contact with, had audience with. The Arianian Council.
Say that again,
The Arianian Council. There's one person on the council. He was considered the master of the world, and very. He looked young, but yet I knew he was ancient. And so I met with him, talked with him. He asked me about Area 51 and what progression they have gotten to.
Progression in what?
Science, technology. I said, well, they're still tampering with nuclear power. And he says they shouldn't be doing that. I said, well, yeah, I agree with you there. They shouldn't be doing that. But they're doing it. It's something that they're doing. They're not about to relinquish that kind of power. At least not yet. And they said, yes, we know. I said, okay. You want to know, what else you want to know? I said, well, whatever you want to tell us. And I told them everything, all about my duty station, what I do, what I've been doing. And they said, okay. How do you like it here? I said, I like it a lot. Do I have to go back? They said, yes, you do. You have a mission. I said, that's me. The second time I've heard that term, mission. What do you mean I have a mission? And they said, well, it's not in your recollection, but you volunteered for it. You and your sister. And I said, how can I remember that? Why can't I remember that? It's not time for you to remember that yet. The world is not ready yet for your message. Okay. So, went back, Area 51. What did you see? We know you went to the center of the planet. We know that much. What did you see? I said, a whole new world. A world of harmony, a world of peace. No chaos at all. The people there, they don't speak, they don't use their mouths to get them in trouble. They use mind-to-mind communications. So they put me in a room and started doing a bunch of tests on me again. That's normal for military. And they checked me out, and they said, well, what can you tell us about their sociology? They said, I said, their sociology is they're all one body. All one. There's no separation between them. And they're always smiling. They love to smile. And they said, well, what is their military capability? I said, far more than yours. I said, let's put it this way. If they desired, they could bring a standstill to the entire surface of planet Earth. How's that for power? They want you to stop using nuclear power. It has too many bad side effects. And they want you to stop it. Well, you know that's not going to happen. I said, yeah, I know that's not going to happen, but they request that you stop. Well, when are we going to be able to gain entrance there? I says, whenever you're invited. Well, what makes you so privileged? Because I respect their privacy. Well, you have to tell us everything you saw. I said, no, I don't. I was requested not to say certain things, and that's going to be as it is. You're allowed to know certain things, but you're allowed to not know certain things. Well, we order you to tell. You can order me all you want. I'm only allowed to say certain things. Just like under your command, I'm also only allowed to say certain things. So respect their privacy. Just as they're respecting yours. Oh well, they reluctantly agreed.
No threats?
No threats. Wouldn't have done them any good.
Let's talk about, so you were summoned and you went to Hollow Earth. Did you get to see your father?
Not that trip, no.
Okay.
He was elsewhere, doing what he does, which is monitoring the North Polar opening.
Can you tell us how you came to be on the surface?
You want me to back up?
Are we done? I got the answer. I don't think I've got the answer to the mission yet, actually. What is the mission?
The mission is to give the contents of Admiral Byrd's message to the surface world. It's a threefold message. The first part of the message is the existence of Hollow Earth, part of it. The second part is medical, having to do with cures of all the diseases that were on the planet at that time. And then there's also the third part was telling them not to use nuclear power. They need to stop and desist from using it. That was the first part. Second part was medical, and the third part was the existence of Hollow Earth and its people. And that they are the sisters and brothers, your sisters and brothers, in Hollow Earth. That message could have been given out back in 1947, when it was, suggested for it to be given out. We wouldn't have been going through what we've been going through. The world would be a lot different place had that been able to been gotten out. But that was the mission that we volunteered for.
You and your sister?
Me and my sister. We were sitting on a beach in Hollow Earth with our feet in the water, and we were approached by the council and asked if we would volunteer to go to the surface to give out this message.
How many trips around the sun had you been by the time you were approached?
How many trips? Well, I'm 60 trips around the sun now on the surface. It would have been 1,800.
And for 1,800 trips around the sun, what was your size?
My size?
How tall were you?
My stature was 15 feet.
15 feet.
Yeah.
And yet you were deposited on the surface. What was your stature at that point?
About that tall.
And surface age? Equivalent age, like 18, whatever, 100 cycles or whatever, trips around the sun.
Right.
Now you go from 15 feet to toddler height.
Toddler height.
Right. And you had to have been adopted, as you say.
Adopted.
Okay, you were adopted.
Me and my twin sister together.
At 15 feet in Hollow Earth, were you 5D?
Of course.
And you get deposited on the surface, you're no longer 5D?
Nope. My mind is, but my body's not.
What is the process of being deposited on the surface?
Well, how it transpired after we went through our shrinking about down to the size we were going to be, we were brought up by airship, deposited in the city park in Wichita Falls, Texas. We were wrapped in a blanket, put in a dumpster on top of the garbage, and to be found by the city park maintenance people and a police woman. Once we were placed in the receptacle and they left, then of course our survival mode took over and we started screaming our heads off. And we were heard by the city park maintenance worker and also a police woman that saw us, opened up the dumpster and saw us, took us out of it, and turned us over to Child Protective Services in Wichita Falls, Texas. When the policewoman picked us up, picked both of us up, her body started tingling, and she put us down because she didn't want to drop us. And what had transpired when she picked us up was that she had a issue with her body. I think she had breast cancer or something like that. And when she picked us up, she was instantly healed from just picking us up. And then, of course, we were, how we discovered this, she came back the following day to the Child Protective Services and sat next to us, and she started talking to us. We weren't saying anything, we were just listening. But she told us what had happened after she had picked us up. She says, I feel you two are very special. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but I feel I should tell you this. And she told us what happened. That she had went to after she picked us up and brought us to the Child Protective Services, she went to see her doctor, who had diagnosed her before with cancer. And she explained to us that when she had him check herself out again, she no longer had it. Her body was completely clean of cancer, which the doctors just didn't register. She said, I wish that I could adopt you, but I'm not married. And I feel you're going to be adopted by a loving family. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. But and me and my sister looked at her and just nodded. That we acknowledged that we understood what she was saying. And we, in unison, we both gave her an impression in her mind that it's all right. We gave you a gift. She said, I understand you, but you're not talking. And we said, we know. And then she got permission to take us and turn us over to the orphanage. And she was assigned to take us there. After she took us there, and she said, these children are very special. They need to be put in quarantine, away from the other children. Which was a standard procedure anyway. So they put us away, me and my sister, into a room in the attic. All that was in there was a radio and a square box with a tube about this big around, black and white TV set. And we were in quarantine for like 3 or 4 weeks. And all that time we were there, we were learning, listening to the radio and watching this Jack Benny on the radio, on the TV. And so we learned how to talk. We learned how to communicate in English. Before that, we spoke in Lemurian to each other, with our minds, not verbally. We didn't feel any need to do that because we could communicate telepathically, so we didn't feel the urge or the need to use our mouths. That was an experience when we started doing that, though. But it was kind of hard to start talking. We saw how easy it was for other people, but when we started to talk ourselves, it seemed foreign. Something that was not normally, well, in the Hollow Earth is not done, hardly. But it was hard to form words. We had to learn how. And we did that in the privacy of that room that we were in. And then shortly after that, we were in the common room, they call it, and radio broadcasts come across the airways talking about a missing child in Yellowstone Park. And me and my sister were sitting there. We closed our eyes and we visualized where this child was. We wrote it down on a pad and pencil. They gave us a pad and paper because they thought we were deaf and dumb, couldn't talk. because we weren't talking. We wrote down the location of the child and we gave it to one of the staff members. They immediately called Yellowstone Park and told them where this child could be found. They said, "How do you know this? We have a couple children here that have extraordinary senses." And they told us where this child was. So they checked it out, and they found the child. It was a Native American ranger that got in the helicopter and took off to the location where this child was. 5 miles from the search area. They were trying to figure out how this child got 5 miles from this out of the search area. And the Native American ranger walked into the cave, Bear Rock Cave. As he walked into the cave, he saw a female Sasquatch nursing the child. He walked in, the Sasquatch saw the Native American ranger, picked the child up, carried it over to him, and put it in his arms. Turned around, walked back, sat next to the fire. He brought the child back to the search area, and it made headlines for that.
Interesting. I didn't expect Sasquatch to come out of this story. I really didn't.
Sasquatch is real.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it's actually called a Chatus. It's not called a Sasquatch. Prefers the term of Chatus. The Bigfoot or Sasquatch or Chatus is the original, the real people that were on the earth before the advent of man, or the white race. Native Americans were around, the dark-skinned people were around, but the white race were planted on the surface from other places, other star systems.
Okay, what was the last question I asked you?
What are my claims?
Yeah, let's start from there. So what are your claims?
Well, that I was born in Hollow Earth, and that I'm here to my mission is to bring forth the contents of Admiral Byrd's message that was given to him by the Council of the Hollow Earth, the Orionians, master of the world, and that the people of Hollow Earth are your sisters and brothers that love you dearly, that are very concerned for your welfare, and they're now preparing to come to the surface. The Agarthians are already on the surface, and they're doing their work quite diligently. And the work they're doing is to clear up the atmosphere, clear up your air quality, cleanse the pollutions that are in your oceans, clear up the oil that's in the Gulf of Mexico, and the poisons that it's producing. Also, another claim is that the Earth is about to go through a physical change as well as higher dimensional change, and this will be taking place before the end of this year. When my father put it to me was that even though I know the exact date and time, I can't tell them because it would be wrong to do so. And that they're God, and they are the creator. They are the healers of their world. They are the creators of their world. even though they've been taught otherwise. You're asking me about the headbands.
I will get to that in a moment. I want to talk to you about your DD-214.
DD-214, from the separation from the military.
Why don't you tell us why don't you tell the audience what your rank was in the military?
My rank was full bird colonel.
How long you were in?
I was in for 11.5 years. That was active duty, and then another 5 years inactive after that. So my DD-214 that I had received upon exiting the military was all put in a record box by me, sealed and put away for shipping because I was being reassigned. And upon the reassignment, we were being moved by U.S. military government movers. And conveniently, all my box of military discharge and all this was conveniently lost. And I went to get another copy of the DD-214 and discovered I ran into a brick wall of presidential closure. It states in that whenever you try, you can pull my records up, it says sealed by order of the president.
So if a person who has the capability of authority, if you will, of requesting a copy of a DD-214, be it you or some other agency, what they're going to get back is a message that your record has been sealed.
Most likely. The last time I attempted to get one, that's what I ran into.
Okay. Why don't you tell us about your headband?
The headband is a combination of copper, quartz crystal, and gold. Gold is used because it gives a higher vibration, a higher frequency. Initially, the initial band was designed using a silver disc, which does the same thing, but it doesn't do it as fast. It takes a little more time. But it does work. It does definitely change your outlook, changes your, it works on your immune system, it works on your focus, it works on your clarity. It is an intergalactic communication device for communicating intergalactically. And it works, of which you are quite familiar with.
Yes, I did try it on, and I went on a nice little trip. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to ask you a couple closing questions, and then we'll get on to Zora.
Okay.
What is the legacy you want to leave behind?
The legacy I want to leave behind? That I was able to give out the information required for my mission, to let people know that they're not limited beings, that they are gods, that they are healers. From the smallest child to the eldest of elders are healers on this planet. You're not limited, you only limit yourself. You are immortal, in essence. You have the capability, it's even told of in your Bible, that you have the power of the gods. And it was foretold in the Old Testament when God said, let us make man in our image, in our likeness, and with our powers and abilities. You won't find that in any American Standard Bible or King James Bible, but it's in the original Dead Sea Scrolls. So that tells you right there you're God. And it's not mentioned in the Bible because they don't want you to know that. So,
what is channeling?
what is channeling? Well, in most cases, the channels that I have experienced, they sit in a chair and they talk and give a bunch of information, but they don't get up and walk around. They don't interact. That's been my experience with channelers. However, when it came to Ramtha, that was not so. Ramtha would get up, walk around, hug people, talk to them, interact with them. The same thing with my father. He does exactly the same thing.
What is your father's name?
Zora.
Are we going to meet your father?
Yes, you are.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
You want to take a break first?
It's up to you.
Okay, I'm good.
You want to take a break? Okay, good. All right.
We'll talk to you later, dear.
Yeah, right.
Get some rest.
Yeah. So you want to
Have
describe,
fun.
before you go in, you want to describe the process you're going through? And
I am
what
basically,
we're about to see.
what I am doing is I am giving up myself to my father. He is going to be coming into me, and I'm going to be going into him. Where he is, I will be. Where I am, he will be.
When you go there and you come back, do you remember what you did when you were over there?
Yeah. When I'm over there.
But when you come back?
When I come back, I don't know hardly anything of what took place here. I need to be filled in on it.
Yeah, so when he comes back, you could ask him.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll ask Zora where he's been and what he's doing.
Yeah. Well, I have a hunch I'm going to be at the North Pole. I think. That's my guess.
Okay.
Of course, that's not set in stone. I might end up on the back of a pterodactyl or a T-Rex or something like that.
Yeah, so is this pterodactyl? Can you bungee jump after pterodactyl? Can you do that?
Bungee jump off of a pterodactyl? I don't think you can
I would like that.
I don't think he likes something hanging down from him.
No.
But anyway, so I'm going to be quiet here for a moment and allow him to come forth. I do go through a change. My breathing gets heavier, I'm sure, and my countenance changes. I start talking with an accent, which I don't normally do, but yet there it is. Well, you'll see. Indeed.
Hello.
And how be you?
I'm well. You're, just so you know, you're on camera. We're doing an interview with Billy. Billy's gone. You're here now.
Indeed.
We wanted to ask you some questions. Just was curious about Billy's upbringing.
Upbringing?
Yes. Can you tell us a bit about how he came to be selected for coming to the surface?
We needed what would be termed as ambassadors to come to the surface, to give forth what would be termed as the message that was given to Rear Admiral Richard Evelyn Byrd to give to the surface world, which he was prevented from doing as far as the military was concerned. And so Billy and his sister was asked to do so. And first they asked me, and I said, I will ask and see. And we did. We asked them, and they agreed.
I understand that the measurement of age.
Age is an illusion.
On the surface is different from what it is in hollow earth.
Of course.
You speak of trips around the sun.
Indeed.
How many trips around the sun were Billy and his sister by the time that you asked them to become ambassadors?
Would have been 1800, exactly.
1800 exactly.
Indeed. They were twins, and they were identical.
Okay. I understand they were deposited on the surface.
Indeed they were.
Who did that?
That was done by a delegation that we sent forth to take them to the surface. It was done by aeroship, elusive aeroship. The vessel appeared in what would be termed as over the skies of Texas. And it was in the middle of the night. And they were deposited in a city park, garbage receptacle. And also we watched over them to make sure that they were discovered, okay. At which time the vessel that was waiting in the cloud departed.
Were you there in the delegation?
No, I was in doing my North Polar opening observation.
Is that what you were doing before you arrived just now?
Indeed, I was.
Is that where Billy is now?
That is where he is now.
So you have a recollection, you can remember what you were doing just before you got here?
Indeed.
Is it ever an interruption in what you're doing when Billy calls on you?
An interruption?
Sure. Maybe you have something that you need to finish.
No, it is a joy.
Yeah, okay. All right. So, you know, people get busy. They get involved in things, and it just seems it could be possible that you're not available. Has that ever happened?
Very seldom.
Mm-hmm. Okay. When Billy comes back.
Indeed.
Will he remember having been over there?
Indeed.
Will he remember what he was doing?
Indeed.
So when he comes back, I can ask him.
Of course.
I shall. I'll ask you a question I asked Billy.
Indeed.
What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind?
A legacy I'm leaving behind?
Yes, what kind of a legacy?
I am not leaving behind a legacy. I will be continuing on. I will be speaking forth through another individual.
Okay.
I will not be leaving any legacy.
So when you say you're speaking forth from another individual, you're talking about somebody else
channeling through them.
Channeling. Okay. When that person is channeling you, or you're being channeled through them.
Indeed.
That should be interesting to see. So I'd like to make some comparisons. So I'm just wondering, have you started this yet? Have you started being channeled through this other person?
He has not agreed to do it yet.
Aha.
That would be Peter.
Okay. Interesting. Is it a skill that anybody can do?
If they give over of themselves and to allow it, then it can be done. The problem is that many people are very skeptical. Many people are very untrusting. So the object is to find someone who is ready to channel.
Okay. Is there anything you wish to share with us right now, as long as I've got the camera rolling?
What would you wish to know?
Anything you wish to share?
Billy is quite unique. in that his metabolism is different than yours. Billy has what would be termed as two hearts. Billy has also what is termed as no blood type at all. His blood can be given to anyone, and it will act accordingly and sufficiently in their body.
O blood type?
Hmm?
Was it? What did you say? O or no?
No.
No
Blood type.
Well, that's interesting.
Indeed, it is.
Since when they give you your dog tags when you go in the military, they've got to type your blood.
Mm.
How does that work for him? So if he's ever injured,
It was no blood type.
no blood type, really
It even stated it on the dog tags. No blood type.
interesting.
Unknown.
Unknown.
Indeed.
Okay. Anything else you wish to share with us?
Well, it has been pretty well covered, I believe.
Okay.
However, you are God. And you know this to be true. You do not feel it now, but you will in the near future.
Can we look forward to a reunion?
A reunion
Mhm.
of whom?
Inner Earth, Hollow Earth peoples with the surface peoples?
That is the purpose for the Agarthians coming to the surface. They are preparing the way for us to come to the surface. Your surface at this time is too toxic for the Hollow Earthians to come.
So is the idea for them to come to the surface?
Indeed.
Do they all want to come to the surface?
We are, because we are your brothers and sisters, and it is time for a reunion,
To reunite the family?
to reunite the worlds into one united planet.
Polar openings.
And what about them?
We have one in the north.
You have one in north and one in south.
The southernmost one,
Antarctica.
Antarctica, can't be viewed from the internet, Google Earth. The whole continent is obscured. I've read that there are some stories of the Nazis who used submarines to go underneath the continent. Are you aware of these entrances?
There are no entrances in what would be termed under the continent. You do have waterways through the ice that go into the entrances of the South Polar opening. At the time of Olaf Jensen, in the book called The Smoky God, Antarctica was not as immense as it is now. There were open waterways. I can show you, if you see a map, I can show you where the waterways were. So Olaf Jensen was able to sail his sloop, or sailing vessel, out through the polar opening, and to go home. But unfortunately, there was a mishap, and the sloop was destroyed. The father perished, but the son, Olaf Jensen, survived on what is termed as an ice pack, deposited on one. Now, because of the different temperatures, the drop in temperatures, those waterways are filled in. However, what you term as global warming is not global warming. It is us melting the ice around the openings so there can be contact with the outer world. It is not global warming. It is a planned event. We must open the waterways so you can bring your vessels, such as your cruise ships and things of this nature, into hollow earth. So what we are doing, we are melting the ice in one area, open the waterway up, and refreeze it against the far side, creating a waterway that is free of ice. And you term it global warming.
So there's no undercontinent passage to get to hollow Earth?
Not through the Antarctic, no.
Is there a place in hollow Earth called Agartha?
Hollow Earth, Agartha, is, in actuality, is a subterranean city. It is located beneath the continent, or the city, or the landmass known as Tibet. To gain entrance to this Agartha, you must go through what is termed a waterfall. You go behind it. And it's not too far from the capital of Tibet. There's a waterfall. You go behind the waterfall into a cave. Goes down at a little less than a 45-degree angle, going down. You get down to the bottom, you come to a great door with a symbol on the door, the symbol of Lemuria. And you, on that symbol, you put your hand upon it, it will open for you, if your heart and mind are in the right place. That is how you gain entrance to our world. You must be emotionally, from heart, ready. Through what is termed as your mind and vibration must be at a certain level, and you will be accepted. But most people on the surface are not ready.
Billy talks about going home.
Indeed.
You expecting to see him soon?
Indeed.
Has he completed his mission?
Almost.
What's left to do?
He has a few more meetings to go to.
What kind of meetings?
Speaking places, places to give forth knowledge to the masses.
I don't have any more questions, actually. So.
One place would be Hawaii.
Go ahead. Fine.
You could ask Zora, ask him to talk about himself. You've asked plenty of questions about Billy.
Yeah.
And what would you like to know about me?
How old are you?
How old am I?
How many trips around the sun?
Well, if you go by way of Earth years, I would be termed as 150,000 trips around the sun. And that is only in hollow Earth. Does not count before.
Okay, so that implies that you haven't always been in hollow Earth.
No.
Where were you before?
On the planet of Lemur.
Lemur's a planet. Where's Lemur?
You term it Nibiru.
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 Okay.
The true name is Lemur.
Is it part of a system of planets around a
It is
star?
on an elliptical orbit through your solar system.
Okay. So I've heard this story from Sitchin, Zachariah Sitchin. 3,600-year orbit, is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Where is it now?
On its way back in again.
Is it within the solar system?
Not yet.
When will it arrive?
When it arrives.
What's it like on Nibiru or Lemur?
Lemur, wondrous place. It is much larger than your planet Earth. When it comes through, it will have a gravitational force that will cause upheaval upon the face of this planet, but not as drastic as they are foretelling. Because the people of Lemur have the ability to lessen the effects of their planet upon other heavenly bodies. They have this ability to buffer the effects. The planet is very green. There are no deserts. It has a gentle rainfall, not harsh like it is on the surface. It is a wondrous place to be. The inhabitants are quite large in height. The atmosphere is pure. The oceans are pure. There are many races living upon it, besides Lemurian, from other star systems. And we are anxiously awaiting its return.
Does it have any moons?
2.
Is it orbiting a star?
Hmm?
Is it a rogue planet or is it in a system?
It is going through an elliptical orbit through your Milky Way system.
As one planet with 2 moons?
Hmm?
Or is it one planet with 2 moons that is also going around a star?
Around the center of your galaxy, your Milky Way.
One planet and 2 moons?
Mm-hmm.
That's all there is to the inbound planet?
Pretty much, yes.
Doesn't it get cold there?
No.
Out in space? Just no sun? No star that it's revolving around?
Why would it be?
Yeah, I'm thinking from the perspective of Earth and the many other solar systems that have planets revolving around
The peoples that are on the planet give forth all the heat they need.
So there's no star.
No star. None needed.
Interesting.
Indeed.
How long were you on that planet before you came here?
A long time.
The cycles would be measured differently, I'd imagine. So we talk about cycles around the sun.
Well, see, there is no time.
Mm-hmm.
Time is an illusion. On the surface, you gauge time in years because of the seasons, things of this nature. But on Lemur, there is no seasons. It is all tropical all the time.
So what did you do on Lemur?
What did I do on Lemur? Well, I was what is termed as a lover of nature.
And here you are on Earth,
Indeed.
in Hollow Earth, still a lover of nature?
Of course, but I'm also monitoring what is termed as your North Polar opening
Are you
to
also,
allow or disallow peoples to come in.
that's your primary function up there? In
Indeed.
North Pole?
Indeed.
Does it get boring?
No, it is a joy.
What do you like most about watching the North Pole opening?
To see the peoples that are ready to come, and what they are going through to get there.
Are there people who are coming in now?
Indeed.
And they're allowed in?
Indeed.
How are they coming in?
By trying.
Trying. Are they walking?
No, not walking.
Okay. Are they driving?
Not driving either.
Flying?
Some.
Okay. Airplanes?
Yes. And also aeroships.
Do you ever have any stuff just kind of falls out of orbit into the hole?
A bit. Satellites. Occasional aircraft.
What do you do with that stuff once it comes in?
Depends on the situation.
Seems like an aircraft coming in would represent pollution since you don't use any petrol.
It is dealt with.
Okay. Are there those who attempt to come in you don't want to come in?
Those that are not ready to come in do not see the opening.
Is that by something that you're doing from your craft?
It's a holographic image of clouds. Weather. Most of the time it is cloud covered, obscured.
How do you determine whether somebody's ready to come in?
It is in through their heart.
So you can sense this?
Indeed.
What kind of range do you have on that kind of ability?
Range unlimited.
So they could be coming toward it, and you'll know they're coming?
Indeed.
Does everybody in Hollow Earth have that capability?
If they desire, yes.
Just have to tune into it?
Of course. Soon you will realize that you can do the same. Remember, you're not limited beings. You are unlimited.
I got the brain strain.
The only limitations you have are the ones you put upon yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have a brain strain freeze?
Brain strain for now, just a brain strain. I've been going for a few hours, so no, I'm really right now. I can't think of anything. I've got you here. A lot of the questions seem rather petty, but
Indeed.
people want to know. It's the kind of thing. So when you come up with, or you come here and you're delivering a message, then I try to think of the kinds of things that people might ask as they're listening to the message. And these are the kinds of things I'm coming up with. So.
Indeed.
Yeah. I've got nothing else. I'm at that point. I've hit the wall.
You hit the wall.
I've hit the wall. I'm just look in my book. I don't know what else to ask. Oh my goodness.
I find that quite a lot.
Yeah.
You get many people wanting to ask questions, but when it comes down to asking the questions, they lose it.
Yeah, but I've been talking to Billy for a couple of hours, too.
Indeed.
You
Yeah.
could talk about Hollow Earth.
Yeah.
What Hollow Earth is like and what is life like?
What is life like in Hollow Earth?
And with the children, what do they do? What is family time like?
They are not limited. They are allowed to express themselves. They're allowed to be creative. They are not stagnated as they are on the surface. They are creative. They are inquisitive, questioning everything, which is understandable, but
When
like they question who they are, what their purpose is.
When do they start to ask that, since they're very evolved anyways and they're fifth
Indeed.
dimensional? And we also know that the pregnancy period is up.
Ah, the pregnancy period.
We could talk about conception, birth, how long it takes, when do they start to actually begin to even think and become creative.
From conception to what is called the birthing is 3 months. No more. And it is painless. There is no pain. Because pain is a negative, and there is no negativity.
So they're born.
Indeed.
Natural childbirth.
Of course. Actually in the ocean.
In the ocean.
In the Arctic Ocean.
No, in the ocean in what is termed the hollow earth.
Well, that's through the hole.
It is tropical.
It made sense.
It is tropical.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. And then, of course, now in here, people, children are usually, when they're born, they drink milk. So in Hollow Earth, are they also breastfed or given milk and fruit, or how are they?
Given fruit, not milk.
Milk.
No.
Sound like you knew the answer to that question.
No, I didn't.
No? They're not breastfed? No?
Yeah.
No?
Not breastfed, no. They are giving a solution that is a mixture of fruits, soft.
As babies.
As babies, indeed. They should do the same on the surface, but they do not.
So when do they really start to develop, as far as where they can begin to read and write?
Right away.
Right away. Right away.
Indeed.
A child is born,
Mm-hmm.
and when are they going to be able to read and write?
They will begin to reading and writing is not necessary
Oh, correct.
because of the telepathy.
And they do that as soon as they're born.
Yes, upon birth, and even before.
Correct.
How does the learning process work if there's no writing?
We have what is called the Pathologos Library.
Say that again a little slower for me, please. The
Pathologos Library.
Pathologos Library.
It's located beneath the Aegean Sea in Hollow Earth. It is where the people go to learn, but it is a different learning. It is an experience learning, and actually being at the event. You can learn much more by being in an event instead of reading about it.
This is interesting. I just read about a guy who had an experience where he was given a choice of what he wanted to learn, and he was interested in some ancient work or something like this. I can't remember what it was. It was Alexander the Great, I think. And they put him in front of the screen and they let him see it, smell it, feel it, experience it,
And touch it.
as though he were there.
Indeed.
Yep.
And that is the way it is in Pathologos Library. Say you wanted to experience what would be termed as the sinking of the Titanic. You are there, on the ship, experiencing it.
It's like a holodeck, or is this a screen? Or?
Similar to it, you have crystal discs made of crystal, and they are put upon a player, and they are played. And it is as if it becomes a reality to you. You are there. You intermingle and intertalk with the people there, or with another star system. The birthing of a world.
Tell us.
It sounds amazing. I mean, that you could anything you wanted to learn, anywhere you wanted to go. You didn't have to go there. You don't even have to go to this place.
No, you do not.
To see it.
It is there in your mind, and you also experience it by being there. Learning is much greater capacity that way, and you learn much faster by experiencing what you're seeing.
So when a child is born in Hollow Earth, and again, the perception or my point of reference is from this world.
Indeed.
And then you're born with certain capabilities. He is Walter is very inclined with he's got great abilities with working with electronics, with lots of these technical things. Many children are also born with wanting to become artists, etc. So the children that are born in Hollow Earth, do they already have it in their genes as well? Which areas they're going to flourish in? I don't know I guess what I want to do, I want to ask is about their DNA. I want to know about their genes. How does that all come to be?
Their makeup.
Yes.
Many of them choose before conception.
Okay.
And once they are born, then they have a predestined path.
Isn't that also derived from you and your companion?
Indeed, it is.
So they have some of your genes, so to speak.
Indeed.
As well as their own.
Yes.
They have, okay. So similar.
And they are free to express it. Contrary to what it is on the surface. On the surface, you raise your child, you send them to institutes of learning, and what do they learn? Nothing useful on this planet. Are they taught to care for nature? No. Are they taught to express themselves through creativity? No. They are told not to. They are told to be a certain way. We do not do this to our children. We allow them to express themselves, to allow them to be who they wish to be or what they wish to be.
Okay.
Which is what they should do on the surface, but they do not. And then your peoples, which is termed as your military government, issue things such as mandatory inoculations, which also hinder the development of the child. It takes away their ability of creation. It takes away their ability to be independent, to be free, to be expressive, to be creative, to their creative mind is hindered by drugs, chemicals.
So your daughter, the youngest, right now is far excelled already.
Of course.
In many areas.
If she was brought to the surface, she would be considered a genius.
Thank you for coming.
Indeed.
Appreciate you taking the time. you have any questions?
Thank you, Walter.
I'm spent.
Easy,
I'm done.
Walter.
I'm sorry, I'm done. I've got nothing left.
Oh, Zora has such wonderful
Yeah.
knowledge.
I have that effect upon people.
No. Not you.
You could stay for as long as you like.
Indeed. I know.
Anyway.
Anyhow, well, there's one other kind of theme thing in here that was, and Billy's already kind of talked about this 3 different ways, I think.
What is this?
This has to do with, and we touched on it a little bit, is, what does it take to get into Hollow Earth? And don't answer yet. I want to make sure I phrase this right. When will people have more exposure to Hollow Earth? When will it be made available to other people? Do you have to be a believer to be a part of it?
No, you do not have to be a believer. When they're ready, that's when the interaction will take place.
Is there something that people have to do to become ready?
Raise their consciousness levels, raise their vibrational levels, raise their energy levels. The exercise I taught you last night will help them achieve this.
And we're talking about meditation.
Not just meditation. Meditation is thought processes, what is termed as the rising of the consciousness levels, the exercise that was given. That is what will raise the vibrational levels and the consciousness and the energy.
Right. So.
Indeed.
Right. So with the hands and the exhaling through the teeth forcefully.
Indeed.
That was part of that. Okay. I had looked at that as a preparation.
Of course.
For meditation.
It could be that too.
Okay. Got it.
Now, when you go to bed, have with you what is termed either a tablet or what would be termed as a recording device. And when you dream, before you retire, you state forth to the Lord God of your being that you want to remember your dream. And you remember by waking right afterward and either write it down or record it.
So why is it important to record your dreams?
Especially nowadays, because you are starting to dream of your future home. That is why.
Interesting.
That is what your dreams were about last night.
I don't remember my dreams last night.
That is what I'm saying. Before you retire.
Yes. Yeah, he's telling me what my dreams are now. What, can you tell me what I dreamt last night? Because I can't tell you. he can say anything, really, right now.
In course, I could say anything, and you would either believe it or not believe it.
You dreamed of hurdling camels and... Sorry.
No, you dreamed of going to Hollow Earth.
Yeah.
That's what you dreamed.
I remember it.
It will come to you.
Okay. I dreamed of other cool stuff, but I don't remember that.
Well, if your desire is strong enough, you will remember your dream.
Yeah. Well, I was telling Billy this morning that dreams are more easily remembered if right after you wake up and you focus on them. You think that,
Indeed, you can do this. But you can also wake up in the middle of the night and record it, what you dreamed.
Yeah, I've heard people having exercises where they'll set like a little timer. Go off like every half hour, Kind of wake them up so they can write down their things.
You have what inside you. You have what would be termed as an internal clock, and you can set it for whatever time you wish to arise. You can do this with waking in the morning. Instead of waking up at 9 o'clock, you could wake up at 7 or whatever by setting your internal clock.
And I can do that, but since Hollow Earth doesn't have time, you guys really don't need alarm clocks, do you?
Of course not. And time is an illusion as well.
Do you rest?
Do we rest?
No, do you rest?
That was what I said. Do we rest?
Singular, plural. I get it. Bring it.
Indeed. At times we rest, yes.
Okay. Well, there's the collective we. Billy talked about all one. And yet you have individually bodies.
But we are still one.
Okay. But there's still individual bodies. No?
Of course, but you are still one with a single mind.
Okay. There's a physical body?
Of course.
Okay. There's multiple physical bodies? Mentally connected as one? Okay. So the individual bodies can choose whether to eat or not, whether to sleep or not?
Of course.
Okay. I'm asking Zora, your individual body, do you sleep?
At times, yes.
Do you eat?
Of course.
Have you heard the term breatharian?
Indeed.
Is this something that you want, that you are?
Can be.
The other choice is fruitarian. No meat eaters down there?
No.
No.
You do not eat what you talk to.
Well, let's see. You can talk to the plants.
Indeed.
Well, do you eat that? Okay.
Indeed. But I'm speaking of what you talk with through telepathy. Anything with a face, you leave alone.
Okay.
We do not eat fish because fish we communicate with.
So what about singing orchids?
All our plants sing.
Do the strawberries sing? Do strawberries sing?
The plants do, yes.
The fruit doesn't?
The fruit is for nourishment.
Okay. Are there bees in Hollow Earth?
About that big.
How large are the strawberry blossoms?
Strawberry blossom?
Yeah. The plant's got to have a flower. The bee's got to pollinate the flower. Flower becomes fruit.
Big. Bigger.
You
Big.
got blossoms that are this big.
Of course.
Is there a real estate problem down there where people
Real
live?
estate problem.
Well, think about it. You have these ginormous plants. You know, one strawberry, is that enough to feed a family of 4? You know.
Remember how tall they are.
Remember how tall we are.
Okay. All right. You're 15 feet, was it? Or was it meters? I forget.
Feet.
Feet. Okay, 15 feet tall. So you're twice my height. More than twice my height. And still a strawberry this big is still going to be, per person, 15 feet tall. You know, scaling, that's a big strawberry.
Indeed.
Do you have strawberry seed spitting contests? We have watermelon seed contests. Spitting contests. You spit the watermelon seeds to see how far they'll go. Yeah,
I know you're being facetious.
I had asked Billy to describe what the houses were like and what his room looked like.
Ah.
Perhaps maybe you could tell us a scenario you get up.
His room?
Yes.
Billy's room is round, of course. It's circles within a circle.
Mm-hmm.
You have your home, which is the circle, and then you have your rooms that are circular as well, inside the circle. There is no corners for dust to settle. The furniture within the room, you have what is termed as a sitting device. It is round, it hovers above the floor, and you have your resting place, which is the same. He preferred not to have them, but he would prefer to go out and lay in the grass. So he let me be with Mother Nature, which we encourage him to do. The collective as a whole, the people in the hollow earth, they go to and fro in their daily activities. Activities could consist of going to Pathologos Library, or what is termed as being out with nature, or singing, or playing an instrument, or what is called going to other star systems, just from thought. You are not limited to hollow earth. You can go wherever you desire. So, yes?
So there's no, in terms of, like the mundane things of, I know that there are no corners, but here, even if you have a bed, you still have to make the bed. You still have to,
and you don't need to make a bed.
You don't have to make a bed.
Oh.
If you have a bed.
A platform to lay upon. It is soft, forms around your body.
Nothing to make, it sounds like.
I'm sorry?
It doesn't sound like there's anything to make up.
Nothing.
Nothing to make up,
Just
indeed.
Just a platform?
Just a platform.
Sounds
No
very,
blankets.
sounds very Klingon to me.
Yeah, I know.
Very what?
Klingon.
Yeah.
Klingon.
Yeah,
That is a program on TV.
Yes, Star Trek.
Indeed.
The Klingons have platforms. There's no sheets,
Yes.
no pillows.
No, nothing.
Everything's very hard in the Klingon world.
Well,
So.
Everything is very soft.
There, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, insofar as not having a pillow or a sheet or a
Yeah.
blanket.
And
Very
everything
Spartan.
is like hovering on top.
Okay, so how about, all right, so we talked about food a little bit, strawberries. All the fruit is big. You're all fruitarians. You're eating fruit. So does everybody grow their own food? Where do you go? I mean, here we go to the store, we go shopping. If you have money, you bring it home, you prepare the food, you eat it. How is that different from what's going on down in the Hollow Earth?
Hollow earth, you go out, you pluck a fruit from a tree, you eat it. You have what is termed as multiple foods. I've been asked on what is termed, how does one defecate? Is there toilets?
Right, the sewage system. I mean,
There is none.
a water treatment system.
None
You
needed.
take a whole lot back and take care of
None
it.
needed. When you have yourself what is termed as a bowel movement, it is disintegrated upon exiting the body.
Just disappears?
Indeed.
Did you know that?
That's interesting, huh?
That is interesting. So 3D man on surface walks into Hollow Earth being permitted and everything's squared away. Does he immediately become 15 feet tall and
It is a process.
yeah, okay. Is this something that he's put through by the people of Hollow Earth?
If the desire is to stay in Hollow Earth, then he will begin his change.
Automatically? So no, like no buttons to push, really.
No, the gravity in within hollow Earth, whatever you weigh now, you would subtract that down to 1/3, and that's what you would weigh.
Hmm. So so you said you've had people come in from the surface before.
Indeed.
So, and there are people who have stayed.
Indeed.
How long is this transition for them to becoming?
Some fast, some slow.
Okay, here we go with time again. See, I'm setting an alarm clock. I want to know how many days, is it measured in days?
There is no time.
There is no time. So it's instantaneous, really. It's now. All is now.
Indeed.
Okay. So no distribution system, no sewage system, no sheets to wash, no dust, really?
No dust.
Well, there's dirt down there, right? Doesn't the dirt kind of kick up? Winds blow? Are there winds down there?
Gentle winds, not harsh at all, not heavy,
All right.
not strong,
So the bodies are different.
of course.
Okay. Epidermis, our skin's always flaking off. That's where a lot of dust comes from. So is that different from the bodies?
The bodies are pure.
All over?
So there's no need for soaps, no need for baths, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, everything is fresh, everything is clean.
Okay.
It is hard to conceive.
Huh? Or, yeah.
It is hard to fathom.
Yes. It sounds very much like a flight of fancy, really.
People think of it as a Garden of Eden. That's the real Garden of Eden.
Yep.
Eden is one of the cities.
Is hell down there?
What?
Is there a place called hell down there?
No.
H-E-L-L. Okay. Because I've seen maps that put hell down there. Just curious.
Man's conception.
Where are the negative and evil, as far as higher dimensional beings? Where are they?
They're not in hollow Earth.
No, I'm not talking about just hollow Earth, Zora, because
In
I know
Earth.
that they are there.
Inner Earth.
You have two civilizations within the Earth crust that are always disagreeing with one another. You have what is termed as the Deros and the Teros.
Mm. Okay.
They are degenerates of the Atlantean culture.
Oh, really?
Do they look human?
Somewhat.
Are they greys?
No.
Are they reptilians?
No.
Deros or Teros?
Deros and Teros.
Some look somewhat human.
The Deros are more distinguishable toward human, whereas the others of the more of a degenerative being.
Where are they in that chair? Where do they reside?
They would be close to the 400-mile mark.
And then how do you keep them at bay? How do you keep them at bay so that they don't, I don't want to say infiltrate, but...
They're monitored on a daily basis.
They're fifth dimensional, though, still.
Hmm?
They're fifth dimensional as well.
They're actually in between fourth and fifth.
Okay.
Because they were from the Atlantean culture.
Yeah, so they don't have that. Okay.
Are you aware of the greys?
You mean the gray spacesuits?
I mean the greys.
I say again, are you familiar with, you mean the gray spacesuits?
I don't know anything about any gray spacesuits. I only know of them. As
They're humanoid inside them. They are a species of themselves, but they are not the outward appearance you see of them is not what they truly look like. It is a shell.
Where do they live?
Hmm?
Where do they live on the planet?
They do not. They are just visitors.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you familiar with the underground bases at Dulcine in Mexico?
Zora is familiar with all the underground bases.
The Agarthians that are on the surface of the earth are in control of what would be termed as the underground bases up to a certain level. The upper levels, from the Earth's crust downward, are still controlled by what is termed as the beings, military. Below that, they are being manned by what is termed the Agarthians.
What do the Agarthians look like?
The Agarthians look like you or I, not quite as tall as us, but similar.
Are they white?
Are they what?
Are they black? Are they brown? Are they yellow? Are they Indian, red? What do they look like? Okay.
Whatever the shade they wish to be.
Chameleons?
Hmm?
They're chameleons, you see.
If they decide
Decide on whatever shade
choose
they want.
whatever they want to be.
Okay. That's convenient.
Indeed, it is.
How would I know if I ever met a Garthian?
Agarthian?
Yeah.
If your vibration is high enough, you will see them.
If they look like anybody else, how will I be able to tell them apart from a regular human?
The Agarthians are quite are tall as well, but not as tall as us.
I know there's a lot of NBA players who are pretty tall. So, see that junior high school kid, 7.5 feet tall. Oh my God, he's still going. Yeesh. Maybe he's a Garfield.
Indeed. So you have learned?
Yeah, I've been fed with a fire hose and I'm on overload right now. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's been good. It's good we're taping this, so I can watch it back and see what I missed.
Indeed. On that, I will leave and let Billy return.
Okay.
I'm sure you will have questions for him.
Yeah. Thanks for stopping.
And indeed.
Come again soon.
Good day, Zora.